Now, I don't hide the fact that Ghostbusters is my all-time favorite movie and The X-Files is my all-time favorite television show. Well, in 2001, Ghostbusters director Ivan Reitman basically took both, blended them together, and created Evolution, a sci-fi comedy about a meteor crash landing to Earth and unleashing rapidly evolving alien life forms. After Ghostbusters 2, a third movie was always sort of hanging around in development hell, which is funny in retrospect because yes, the movie was considered disappointing at the time, but compared to some of the franchise sludge we get today, Ghostbusters 2 is starting to look pretty damn good. But one of the biggest obstacles to a third film was Bill Murray. Murray wasn't happy with Ghostbusters 2, feeling the series had shifted away from the characters and more towards spectacle and effects, which he's not exactly wrong. Ghostbusters 3 discussions would take place over the years, but with Murray's reluctance, the project was left in limbo. Then in 1993, Bill Murray reunited with Harold Ramis for Groundhog Day. The film would become a classic, but behind the scenes, creative disagreements and personal tensions damaged a friendship that stretched back nearly 20 years. Meanwhile, Ivan Reitman still wanted to make a big sci-fi comedy, and instead of busting ghosts, he'd soon find himself dealing with alien evolution, community college professors, and a leading man who had his own complicated relationship with his most famous sci-fi franchise. With Ghostbusters 3 in development hell, Reitman decided to shift his focus to Evolution, a script written by writer Don Jacoby, a man known for some of my favorite B-movies like John Carpenter's Vampires, Arachnophobia, Life Force, and of course, Death Wish 3. Jacoby's original script was a much more thought-provoking and serious sci-fi horror film, looking at the evolutionary process and how we as humans would react to billions of years of evolution in only a fraction of the time. Reitman read it and thought, yeah, but what if we shoved a fire hose up a giant alien's butt? While Reitman did like what Jacoby had written, he was looking to make a comedy, and when he offered to buy his script, he made sure Jacoby knew what he was planning to do with it. According to Jacoby, Reitman said, "This is what I intend to do if you sell me the script. If you can't live with that, don't sell me the script." Jacoby would end up selling his script to Reitman, even staying on for several of the rewrites, claiming that only roughly 3% of the scientific material in his original survived to the final draft. Once Reitman purchased the script, he brought on writers David Diamond and David Weissman, writing partners and two men known for, Dream a Little Dream 2. There are times where I wonder how certain writers get work, and this is one of those times. Diamond and Weissman would take the Jacoby script and combine it with elements of a script written by old school and road trip writers Todd Phillips and Scott Armstrong. The result was a mishmash of ideas, a movie that wanted to explore larger concepts while also giving us a classic groin shot.
Come on! Arrgh! My groin!
For the film's lead, Reitman went with David Duchovny, a man who's all too familiar with creatures from another planet. By the year 2000, David was growing tired of his role on The X-Files. He had played Fox Mulder for 7 straight years, even though it was only supposed to be 5, and he felt like he needed to do something a little different. That, along with a lawsuit over syndication profits, led to David leaving the show in pursuit of a movie career. When David found out Reitman was doing a Ghostbusters-esque style comedy, he thought it would be a great move for his career. Though once he discovered he would be playing a man chasing after aliens again, he was a little less enthused. Still though, he felt a role like this would help further his career, and so he came aboard as Ira Kane, former government scientist turned community college biology professor. What's interesting is David actually turned down a role in Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones to appear in this film. Now, the role was never disclosed, but as a Star Wars expert, I'm pretty sure he was going to play this robot right here. Also, if he wanted to take a role that was something different and would have furthered his career, I feel like Star Wars is way different than yet another guy chasing aliens. When the teaser trailer dropped for the movie, I remember downloading it either with QuickTime or Real Player. This was before YouTube, when you actually had to go to the movie's website in order to see the trailers. And when I saw from the director of Ghostbusters, I was already all in. Add Fox Mulder into the mix, and I knew this was gonna be awesome. Evolution begins with a meteorite falling to Earth. Sean William Scott's Wayne is preparing for his firefighter's exam in the middle of the Arizona desert. Scott was pretty hot around this time, getting his big break 2 years prior in American Pie. Though, to be honest, I never really cared for those movies. They were way too dude bro for me. But Wayne is sort of the movie's everyman, though he's also kind of an idiot. And I have my doubts that dummy didn't start off as a sex doll. Anyways, the meteorite crash lands, completely obliterating Wayne's car. Though somehow later on in the movie it's still drivable, and its windshield is back in place. Because Evolution is a completely original movie, it then moves on to Glen Canyon Community College, where Duchovny's biology professor Ira Kane is handing back some papers he graded, and of course the two fat guys are dumb, and somehow confused human cells with jail cells. You might think two guys that are this dumb getting into college is a farce, but I went to college. We are then introduced to Orlando Jones's geology professor Harry Block, as he gets informed about the meteorite. Now, what happened to Orlando Jones? It felt like he was everywhere in the early 2000s and then he just suddenly disappeared. I mean, he's still working, but I feel like he should have been a bigger deal. Also, it looks like he's about to conduct a biology class of his own.
So how's it look, Professor?
It's tight.
Again, because this is a very original movie, Block is blocked by Kane, who wants to grab a bite to eat. The men head to check out the meteor because Block is a member of the USGS and needs Kane, so it looks like actual scientific work is being performed. I do enjoy how, despite not having any authority, Harry plays it off like the USGS are the Men in Black. I mean, lucky for him, all the law enforcement they deal with are complete morons. It's an interesting contrast to Reitman's earlier movie Ghostbusters, because in Ghostbusters, everyone in the movie outside of the Ghostbusters themselves are played pretty straight for the most part, but it's the Ghostbusters who are the clowns. Here it's sort of like everyone is a clown. They all have these goofy quirks to them and no one feels like a normal person. Ira and Harry head down into the cavern where the meteor landed and discover some strange liquid coming from within. You'd think Ira would be a little more careful with this, considering it's not the first time he's dealt with a strange liquid coming out of a space rock. The men take a sample back where Ira notices that it's full of single-celled organisms that are undergoing some rather rapid division. He also discovers this new life form has 10 base pairs, which is impressive, but can it hit a 900 at the X Games? These 10 base pairs seem to be important though, because Ira interrupts Harry's volleyball game to tell him about it.
These are organisms from another world. They're aliens.
I'm so glad David took this role, which is much different than his one on the X-Files. Like a certain parapsychologist, Harry sees this as a way of making a quick buck, but as he points out to Ira, the single-celled aliens are now multi-celled aliens, evolving at a rate that just shouldn't be possible. It actually sort of reminds me of Lisa Simpson's science fair project in the Genesis tub. With that pumpkin in the background, this now officially qualifies Evolution as a Halloween movie. In the meantime, Wayne is failing his firefighter's exam.
My groin!
And this definitely won't come back later in the movie so he can redeem himself. Ira brings his class to see this alien rock, but there's a running joke where they keep getting blocked by these cops who are so stupid that they'll believe just about anything these guys say. The class enters down into the cavern, and is that Harold and Kumar's John Cho? I don't even think the guy has any lines in the movie, but there he is. There's actually a lot of recognizable faces throughout this movie, either before they became a name or just random cameos, like Sarah Silverman, who plays Ira's ex-girlfriend for some reason. The class discovers that whatever is growing down there is growing very rapidly. Ira even has to inform his students that despite this stuff looking like mushrooms, it's probably best not to eat them. I mean, he does have experience with deadly mushrooms.
Whoa!
Flatworms aren't so bad, just be lucky it wasn't a fluke, man. Ira picks up one of the worms and notices it dies once it hits the oxygen, so they're basically creating their own little ecosystem and atmosphere. The men capture some of the atmosphere in a glass jar along with a few of the worms. I'm sort of an idiot when it comes to this stuff, but can you just capture a foreign atmosphere in a glass jar?
It's mitosis. That's how they reproduce.
No sex?
No time for sex.
Bummer.
Alright, so that's 2 movies in a row where they've made a no-sex reproduction joke.
Not if he reproduces asexually.
Where's the fun in that?
Harry believes they should tell the government about their findings, to which Ira says absolutely not, because he knows those people, which is obviously a reference to the Red Shoe Diaries. Meanwhile, we're back with Wayne for some reason, who's dealing with douchey rich assholes. He discovers some of those flatworms which appear to be coming from a massive crack in the concrete, but worse than that, there's some horrible monster in the water's filtration system. Ira and Harry return to the meteor site to find the military has taken control. However, one soldier nearly tries to shoot Ira for some reason. Ira and Harry are allowed in because, as it turns out, Ira does know those people. Specifically, Buffalo Bill, who used to work with him. God, I hope there's no goodbye horses. General Russell Woodman basically exists to be a pain in the ass and nothing more. We're also introduced to Dr. Allison Reed, played by Julianne Moore, CDC scientist and the movie's love interest for Ira. Her character is basically scientist lady who is very clumsy. Also, I find it interesting that David left the X-Files to do something different and ends up in a movie where he's chasing aliens and eventually falls in love with a redhead.
Suffice it to say that we're all very appreciative of the discovery made by Dr. Kane and Mr. Black.
Block.
I'm sorry.
Ira and Harry are basically being cut off from the thing that they found, but this does give David a chance to show off his ass. I swear, the guy can't go 2 minutes without dropping his pants. Ira and Harry take the general to court so they can get access to their discovery. But as we find out, Ira was removed as a government scientist after his experimental anthrax vaccine caused what the soldiers called the Kane Madness. Basically a case of extreme diarrhea.
I have a bad case of diarrhea. I have a bad case of diarrhea.
Harry and Ira return to their office to find everything they discovered has been stolen, which is obviously a reference to David's other movie, Julia Has Two Lovers. Ira and Harry decide to sneak in disguised as military, but I mean, would no one honestly recognize it's them? They didn't even bother with a fake mustache. The men make their way inside the cavern, and it's basically an alien rainforest at this point.
You can be Lisa's.
The guys attempt to collect some more samples, but are quickly found out. Ira calls Allison and her cronies out for stealing their work, but in the meantime, a mosquito-looking bug thing decides it's going to enter Harry's suit. Amongst other places. Alright, so the bug is in his ass. These things happen. Honestly, this whole sequence might be the most ridiculous and yet funniest part of the movie.
I'll get the lubricant.
There's no time for lubricant.
There's always time for lubricant!
Once they remove the insect from Harry's ass, it suddenly dies once it hits the oxygen, which tells me Harry's ass has the same atmosphere as the one these aliens have been thriving in. Meanwhile, Wayne is dealing with more rich idiots at the country club. Honestly, the way he pops in and out of the movie, he feels completely disconnected from the rest of it. At any rate, Douchebag gets dragged into the water by a reptilian-looking alien monster, though it too dies fairly quickly once exposed to our atmosphere. Wayne brings the body to Ira and Harry, and I guess that's all it takes to make him part of the group. It's not like he's hired or anything, he's just a member of the team now. Suddenly, we're in a Juan Piquer Simon movie. Don't worry, ladies, I'm sure this cute green monster is friendly. Since when are disgusting blobs ever violent? Great, first the movie rips off Ghostbusters and now Alien. Like all the other aliens, this one also dies thanks to our oxygen. Also, there are 3 more pumpkins, only strengthening my argument that this is a Halloween movie. Although interestingly, the movie was shot in December, and DreamWorks, the studio behind the movie, asked locals not to hang up any Christmas decorations. I don't know why Christmas decorations would stand out and not pumpkins. Ira tells Allison these things are spreading so quickly that unless they kill them now, who knows how many TGI Fridays will be affected. The three men hear about an animal attack, and before Sarah Silverman can flash everyone, they decide to check it out. That blob monster looks a lot more rubbery this time around. The guys notice the creature seemed to crawl up from the dirt, but Wayne tells them they have a much bigger issue. An entire valley filled with Q the winged serpents. Where's David Carradine when you need him?
You know, there are worse ways to go, but I can't think of a more undignified one than autoerotic asphyxiation.
Oh yeah. Harry then realizes their meteor is smack dab in the middle of cave systems and old mine shafts, because this movie is completely original. I wonder if it features an evil painting that wants to possess a baby too. Suddenly one of the Quetzalcoatlus, whatever this thing is, gets up and hawks up a massive loogie. Except that massive loogie turns out to be a baby that can breathe air. So now we are definitely f***ed. It is interesting how we went from worms to Rodan in the span of a couple days. Attention shoppers, for a limited time only, one giant flying alien with every window crasher special. Our heroes arrive at the mall, but how could they possibly stop a flying alien monster?
Ever used one of these before?
Just because I'm a school teacher don't make me a pussy.
If I've learned anything from movies, it's that guns are the cause of, and solution to, all of life's problems. One of the things I liked about this movie when first watching it was the mystery of where this alien life was going. However, the real mystery is what happens to this shoplifter's pink shirt. First it's hanging, then she puts it on, then it's hanging again, then she's wearing it, then it's hanging. Unfortunately, Q shows up to eat her before this mystery is ever solved. The guys arrive in the store so we can see even more evidence that this is a Halloween movie. You know, Q is really just doing a service for the community, taking care of all those pesky shoplifters, but I guess she is human, so her life has meaning or something. The guys decide to split up because they can cause way more damage that way, but somehow they lose sight of the giant flying reptile. It would be like losing sight of a giant monster in New York City. Wayne starts singing to get the creature's attention, which works. I didn't know alien dinosaurs were Billy Preston fans. I still think Q is doing God's work, but whatever. So the guys kill this brand new species that could have been researched for decades, and the first thing they do is celebrate to play that funky music. Things seem to be heating up because the governor's been called in, but I don't know, there's something about him that feels familiar. Oh, I got it! He's the guy from Casper!
Who you gonna call? Someone else.
Allison shows the governor that these things are spreading so quick that in just 2 months, they'll completely take over the United States. Either that or some kind of pink slime. The guys show up so everyone can argue about who did what and who's responsible for unleashing the alien monsters. None of it matters because General Woodman's going to burn it all down with some good old American napalm. But it's no time for napalm right now because the movie has suddenly turned into Congo. Oh god, I hope Amy's not in this one too. I'm not gonna lie, this entire sequence is actually kind of creepy, but the alien ape creatures have always reminded me of the apes from Congo. Thankfully, the apes seem to possess an allergy to gunfire. The governor, however, has seen enough and wants the whole place burnt with napalm. I say take off and nuke it from orbit, but I guess they don't care about the climate like I do. I don't know why our heroes are so bummed though, what other option is there? Allison leaves her job and joins with the guys. Not because she wants to help, but because there's way more money in the private sector. Does it get any more early 2000s than some Power Man 5000? The military is evacuating the town before it all goes up. However, the college students decide to throw a nice end-of-the-world party, because those always work out so well. Also, how is Ira's Jeep already at the college before they even arrive? The group pouts over what's about to happen. However, thanks to Harry's lip match, they discover fire is what makes this thing grow. Wait a minute, how is the military going to kill this thing? Alright, so napalm is probably the worst thing they could do in this instance, but no worries, because Allison is wearing her periodic table t-shirt, just on the off chance they need to poison some aliens. Ira realizes that selenium would act as a lethal poison for the alien since they're nitrogen-based, sort of like how Taylor Swift music works on us. The only issue is how are they going to find enough selenium to kill the evolving threat? Well, leave it to the dumb fat guys who point out selenium is the active ingredient in Head & Shoulders shampoo. Except at the time the movie was being made, it actually wasn't. This might feel like the biggest example of product placement in a movie ever, but apparently Head & Shoulders actually had nothing to do with this. The filmmakers were simply throwing shade at blatant product placement in movies. Wayne finally becomes useful when he somehow provides a fire truck, which they fill with the shampoo. I'm just going to assume he stole the truck considering he did fail the exam.
I would have rocked your world.
You already have.
Somewhere, another redhead is already plotting how she'll hide the bodies.
Sure, fine, whatever.
The group makes their way inside the cavern so they can start spraying, but for some reason only plan on spraying the meteor itself. Now, if they do that, that might kill everything that still needs the meteor for its atmosphere, but what about the creatures that are now able to breathe? It's not like this is a hive mind type alien, where if you kill the main one, you kill all of them. No matter, General Woodman decides to fire the napalm early anyway, which causes this alien life to become one massive thing-like blob. It both devolves and evolves into a giant amoeba thing. Again, this is a very original movie. Ending on a giant monster is not something Ivan Reitman has ever done before. The blob begins to divide, which is gonna be terrible news for the real estate market. There's only one way they can defeat this monster now: cross the streams. Oh wait, wrong movie. I mean shove a hose up its ass and pump it full of shampoo. I definitely would have paid attention if this were part of my biology class. Also, why does a giant amoeba creature have an ass? Whoa! What the hell? The shampoo seems to be super effective and causes the creature to explode, though the amount of goop that rains down is a lot less than you'd imagine. While everyone else celebrates the death of this creature, Ira and Allison decide to get a little goopy in another way, but they haven't even showered yet, which is disgusting. And then we see at the end that one of the creatures is still alive, so they did all of this for nothing, I guess. Evolution is a fun movie, but it is about as blatant a Ghostbusters knockoff as they come. I mean, you've got a couple college professors who discover and take samples of something out of this world. One of the professors hits on his student until he's interrupted by the other one. The general is basically the Walter Peck of the movie, even sort of talking like him in certain scenes. There's Wayne the Everyman, who is not a scientist, but somehow becomes part of the group. Though at least Winston was looking for a steady paycheck. I don't know what Wayne's deal was. You have the somewhat cute green monster who becomes violent. The mall scene with the flying alien monster feels very similar to when the Ghostbusters catch Slimer in the Sedgwick Hotel. Both feel like the character's first job, if you will. The cave with the meteor being smack dab in the middle of a cave system, just like the museum was smack dab in the middle of the river of slime. An important political figure discussing what they should do about the issue with the heroes and villain. Selenium, which was used to kill the threat at the end, was also a key component in Dana Barrett's apartment, which was used to summon in Gozer. All three movies end with a giant god, statue, or creature. I mean, I could really go on forever with the similarities, and I wonder what it would look like if you played them simultaneously. The movie, though, never quite reaches the same heights as Ghostbusters, which isn't a bad thing, because Ghostbusters is one of the greatest movies ever made, but Evolution is still a lot of fun. It might not be a laugh a minute like some comedies, but when a joke lands, it can really land. I've seen people complain that the cast doesn't really gel together, and I can kind of agree on that, except for David Duchovny and Orlando Jones. I think those two guys have very good chemistry, and without them, you don't have a movie. The special effects are also pretty well done for the most part. I actually have a lot of respect for some of the things they did here. The mosquito sequence, for instance, had so much work put into it that I can appreciate it for what it is. Does it look super realistic? Not really, but I can see the artistry behind it, and sometimes that's all that really matters. The practical effects throughout are all really well done, especially when the cavern begins to change into this alien jungle thing. My favorite though are the creepy blue apes. I actually thought Stan Winston's team was behind the apes at first, but it was actually Amalgamated Dynamics. Evolution was the kind of movie that just sort of came and went in the early 2000s. There was no big hype for it outside of weirdos like me, and once it came and went, most people forgot it even existed. Unfortunately, it never became the next Ghostbusters Ivan Reitman was hoping for, and didn't exactly push David Duchovny into leading man status. But it's a fun little comedy, and comes recommended if you're looking for something a little on the silly side. But what do you think about Evolution? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, I hope you're surviving the heat, and stay spooky! Huge thanks to all my channel members, you're the real MVPs of the Spooky Squad. Your support helps keep the lights flickering and the monsters fed. If you'd like to join up and help support the channel, check out the join button below. But no pressure, just watching and liking helps a ton too.